Hello everyone, Harry Baldock here, editor for Total Telecom. We're here on day one of Connected North. It's a lot of hustle and bustle going on around us. I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Weller, the Director of ITS Technology Group. Mark, how's the day going for you so far?
Yeah, very good, very busy. Lots of people here, some very good breakouts, so yeah, impressed.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, it's great to have you here, and it's great to have a chance to talk to you about some topics other than Fibre, which I think has taken up most of my morning so far. The first thing I want to ask you about is about 5G and about the densification of 5G, particularly in northern cities. What do you think are kind of the main challenges associated with building out these 5G networks like this?
Well, there's been some really interesting conversations I've been listening to upstairs. The big problem, and I'm sorry to mention the word, but the big problem of densification and making 5G work properly is fibre, is the backhaul, is how you actually get this huge amount of data out of a base station site, be it a lamppost or on somebody's roof or on a mast, and how you get that back into the network. 5G, unlike 4G and 3G before it, is exponentially higher demand on fibre. Because of the amount of data it's handling. So while we talk about 5G and what 5G means, and I've just been listening to the conversation about smart cities and how 5G transforms the way we live and work. The issue is going to be getting fibre to these new 5G sites, and that's a headache. You've got to have a very dense fibre network. 5G coverage needs to be at street level because the old mast sat on the top of buildings is covering too much area. So you're looking at traffic lights, street furniture, shop fronts, and all of those need to be connected on fibre. So as exciting as 5G is, we've got a bit of a challenge.
The two technologies have to go hand in hand, and people have to start thinking, I guess, a little bit outside of the box to make this work.
Yes, and I think, ITS is lucky enough that we've got this sort of expertise in the market of deploying fibre using our PIA licence, which allows us to utilise OpenReach's, BT's OpenReach network, and that is pretty ubiquitous across the country, and especially dense in urban city areas. So I think that provides one of the solutions. We've got some exhibitors here who are talking about and selling fibre mesh products, mobile mesh products, wireless mesh. So I think there are some solutions, but it requires investment. And I think those operators or those businesses like ITS that have got coverage, have got fibre in the ground in some of the big cities in the north, are going to be ahead of the game.
Another really hot topic here today has been edge computing. What kind of opportunities do you think that represents for a company like ITS?
Edge computing has been talked about for the last 5 to 7 years. We haven't really seen a deployment or a big construction push on edge computing. We expect it's going to be happening over the next 5 years, although we did say that 5 years ago. But edge computing has to happen as the providers of content have to get that content closer to the customer. And again, one of the issues there is edge computing data centres that are being built at the moment, we're not seeing many of them, require connectivity. And because they're not in these central DC clusters that you see a lot of around Slough, Manchester, in the major cities in the UK, they tend to be further out. Fibre connectivity isn't really there for them, so they need to be built with with a strong fibre connectivity. So again, marvellous opportunity for us. We've got a strong record of connecting up DCs to new fibre.
And speaking of data centres, that's obviously an area that's also growing very rapidly in the UK and here in the north. What kind of challenges does that represent? I mean, as you say, you've got to be a lot of considerations about edge computing and things like that. But how does that growth dynamic, I guess, is that growth dynamic changing in this year?
Yes, I mean, if you look at Manchester's got 12 really important DCs. If we look at London, it's got many more. And the north, what's happening to what we do on our phones and our tablets and at our work is that our data is going away from at work what used to be a set of servers in a room where we work, and it's going to the cloud. All of the photographs and the data that we've got on our phones goes into the cloud, and that's growing exponentially. And we heard at the start of today the keynote address talk about how much the hyperscalers are driving the requirement for DC connectivity. And effectively, more and more DCs require better and better connectivity. And we're seeing a lot of fibre. We're deploying a lot of fibre connecting up DCs in these clusters, in these city clusters. And that will only grow as more and more of our data sits in the cloud. We want access to it immediately. And to do that, secure, important data needs to be mirrored. So you might have a pharmaceutical company mirroring their databases across 2 data centers, completely removed from each other, and they require synchronicity on that. And that's just fibre. So, yeah, it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. I think it's one of these things where at a conference like this, it's quite easy to forget that it's not all about FTTP and getting it to the people, but it's data centers, it's mobile sites. Fibre really has to be everywhere by 2030, would you say?
Yeah, hopefully. Yes, and I think, there's an exciting rollout happening. We're not, at ITS, we're not really focused, we don't do fibre to the home. We're concentrating on business. My part of the business concentrates on our carrier customers who are working with the hyperscalers, and also on DC operators and builders. But yes, I mean, there are some challenges in the industry at the moment. And that's to do as much with the global economy and interest rates as it is to do with the success or otherwise of what's been rolled out. But yeah, I think at the moment, there is a growing demand for where we work, where our data goes, and how we access that data on our phones in a 5G environment. All of that drives an increase in fibre, a requirement to have more fibre.
Mark, it's been great to speak to you. Thanks so much for stopping by today.
Pleasure. It's good to talk to you.